FEMA providing $750 for folks who need immediate needs being met, such as food, baby formula, and the like.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's great to be here as always, and thank you for watching. And I also want to say that I am feeling very blessed to be back in the north. I just got back from the south, so I was headed down for an event, and on the way to the event, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to go to my local Walmart, and I'm going to fill my truck with the carrying capacity of water that I can haul. And I went and grabbed a few other items that I saw were hot button items to take down there, cleared their shelves of them just to do whatever I could to help the situation. I'm already driving down there from stores that are fully stocked. We were rejoicing that we finally got rain up here, and we have our fellow citizens that have lost everything elsewhere in the country, and I just felt compelled to take some time out of my schedule to go down there and do that. Well, in the process of doing that, I got to talk to a fair number of citizens in different locales that are impacted by this storm. And I got to say, there are a lot of conflicting reports out there on the internet. You got people saying that aid is being stolen, that the feds are being hostile, and then you got people who are saying that that's all a fabricated lie, and you know that it's dis and misinformation. And what I wanted to do in today's video was kind of walk through my experience and what I uncovered while I was down there in the South. Most of the time on a video like this, I wouldn't put a sponsor because I don't think that that's very couth. But in this instance, I think that it would be a good time to talk about medical gear outfitters, because whenever we see an incident like this, we know that there are a few things that people just sort of forget about. A lot of houses just have like a rudimentary first aid kit that's not good for like serious injuries. And even if you don't know how to use things like chest seals and tourniquets and stuff like that, having those supplies on site when somebody who does know how to use those things, like particularly when we're talking about incidents like this where people are being rescued from disaster areas, having those supplies there and not having to have them take up the supplies of the emergency personnel that are going to have limited resources when they get there is a very, very important concept, and one of those responsibilities that, in my opinion, we should all take. So Medical Gear Outfitters is my go-to place for that sort of stuff. I know the people who own the company and do the stuff on the ground, putting the stuff in the boxes, and they even have one now that is in a Pelican case, which straight up existed before the hurricane hit. I'm just going to make that very clear. They're ready to go out the door for anybody who wants to have that little extra level of preparedness, specifically when it comes to medical equipment. So special thanks to Medical Gear Outfitters for making today's video possible, and they offer you guys a discount code. You can find that information listed in all of our relevant places. Now, there are 3 people that you should be aware of in my space that are monitoring situations on the ground. The first one is Mrgunsngear. He's got an ongoing situation out there where he's part of an organization where they're actually flying supplies in to the mountains. And he's got a situation there on the ground that seems to have some potential for malfeasance going on. So definitely go catch up with him, see what he's got going on as far as his situation that he's monitoring. The next one is Jared over at Guns and Gadgets. He's got some fundraiser stuff going on, and he's got some situations that he is monitoring, dealing with a sheriff, a rogue sheriff that seems to be harassing people who have lost their homes, as well as gathering aid items to directly go into some of those mountain communities. And the other one is Johnny B. He's also got a group that he is contributing to, and he's got another fundraiser going on for the chainsaw crews that are down there, getting them supplies like bar oil, bar chains, fuel, food, water, et cetera, for those crews that are going out there and literally cutting people out of their homes. All of those efforts, I will have links to their channels in all of the relevant places for you to go check out. Make sure that you catch up with their stories, and if you feel so inclined, contribute. Now, earlier in the video, I said that I went and got and did, and none of that is true. You guys sent supplies down south. I just happened to be the dude that was already headed down there in a pickup truck, and I loaded it into my vehicle. You guys paid for it. Thank you guys for contributing to the channel on a regular basis. You guys are awesome, and it is a pleasure of mine to be able to put those funds to good use. So pat yourself on the back. Give yourself a round of applause. Good job, folks. I actually talked to the folks that I dropped the supplies off to just a few minutes ago, right before I started this video, and the rest of the supplies that I wasn't able to physically load onto a plane that day because of carrying capacity went out this morning. So again, great job, guys, and thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity as far as like freedom of autonomy, as far as like my schedule is concerned, and the ability to just simply walk into Walmart and just put a credit card on the table and say, fill that truck with water. I want all the acetaminophen that you've got. I want all the Benadryl that you got. We're just going to take all of the toothpaste. What I saw, I was able to take a little bit of a detour around the Charlotte area and head west into Western North Carolina. And there I was able to see some of the areas that I was able to access as far as by vehicle. I basically told myself, hey, you know, the sun's going to be going down here pretty soon. I'm going to drive this direction, a little bit of a detour, just to kind of see what I can see. And I can tell you that the areas that I was able to access were absolutely wrecked. And that was the area that I was able to access by car, by truck, right? So my initial plan was to drive up that way and find like a local church or something like that that was visibly gathering supplies and just offload to them so they can get them to their people. I didn't see anything like that on my way. So the next morning I got up and I did some browsing around first thing in the morning, trying to find an airfield or a church that was taking supplies. I was able to get a hold of an airfield that was doing lifts that day, and that's where I was able to drop all that sort of stuff off. You can see my shorts on the topic. But in the process of asking around town and things like that, I was able to talk to multiple citizens, and I can tell you that besides the stories that we have, I have shared with you through my friends that do this sort of stuff, that are monitoring active situations on the ground, I can tell you that the general sense on the ground from the citizens that live in the vicinity is that they do not trust the government whatsoever. I did not see FEMA while I was there. And that's probably depending on your perspective, that is either a good thing or a bad thing. I did not have any interactions with any federal agents while I was down there whatsoever. But I can tell you that they absolutely were not welcome in the places that I was in. I will also say that there were a fair amount of people just open carrying, not only pistols, but straight up just walking around with rifles in some of those places that I was in. And not that that is weird. In my lifestyle, I don't consider that's weird. However, people literally walking down the side of the road with rifles slung is not something that I expect to see nakedly carrying weapons like that. Usually, I expect to see people carry concealed, but I mean, we're talking guns on hips, guns on backs. So there was a little bit of a thing down in Florida where the Okeechobee city police were basically trying to make it so that you couldn't buy guns and ammo and you couldn't, carry weapons or anything like that. And thankfully, Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, stepped in and said, that violates the Constitution of the United States. Absolutely not. And that's important given that we have a Category 4 hurricane that looks like it's about to bear down on Florida yet again. And that is likely to cause another issue. So all the folks out there that are currently hurting have a really strong chance of getting whacked a second time. So I guess what I would close with today is I did the signal boost for my friends that are out there doing stuff on the ground. Check them out. And if you are aware of additional opportunities out there where you know that those organizations are not being messed with by various agencies. I know that there are some reports out there of particularly pilots being intimidated and threatened by various agencies. I know factually that is occurring. I'm not going to reveal my sources on that, but I will tell you that I did talk to the folks that I dropped stuff off to this weekend, and they said that they've not had any issues like that. So it seems to be a very localized thing, and they're flying into North Carolina as well as Tennessee. So that's neither here nor there. But if you become aware of a situation like this, document it and get it to either me or one of the other people that I have mentioned, and we will make sure that those people that are perpetrating those evils become famous in a not so good way, because that kind of behavior is absolutely unacceptable. Particularly when you consider the political lensing that we're dealing with right now when it comes to the abject failure of the current administration to care for its citizens over various other interests that it would rather contribute to around the world. Anyway, that's what I got for you guys today. Happy Monday, everybody, even though a not so happy story. And hopefully we'll have some updates for you guys on some of these things here pretty soon.